Bernardo is in Newark, New Jersey today, and but that's okay because everybody's gonna want this tape when he gets in. That brother right there behind me, so he's bad. I've known him since I think it was 1992 with the Unknown Brothers. And I more or less, in a sense, started with them. They were already organized, but I just more or less pushed them out there a little bit. They've also traveled to Philadelphia. They've been to New Jersey.
Yep.
Did you ever go to Atlanta?
No, I didn't go. No.
Well, they got around.
We got people coming to us now.
As the Unknown Brothers, now they known. This brother's by himself tonight. I want you to get a nice warm Brooklyn thing for him. Not yet. But the brother's name is Maher. Is that right?
And you got it.
And he is going to turn you out. And tonight, he's going to talk about the key points of energy grid patterns anomalies. And as I told you before, Henry D. Bernardo put that on the map for us. And y'all agree with me on that. So we didn't know what a grid was. Well, now we're going to know what it feels like when you tap into the grid and so forth. Let's give him a nice warm applause.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say peace to everyone, and I haven't done this in a while, meaning a solo lecture. And there are a lot more things that, as you know, we deal with besides just talking law and common law and constitutionality of things. And, you know, but what makes us unique and what has made us unique as a group is that there are special things that we all have as individuals that, when we came together, we still have and we still maintain and continue to cultivate. Before I get into talking about grid lines and points of references, chakra centers on the planet, these are real things that I'm talking about. They're in real places, okay? And they do have an effect on you whether you acknowledge them or not. I'm going to start basically just trying to, I guess, point to things that are at home base or close to you that you have always been aware that's been going on. Anything from lying new pipes in the street to telecommunication companies such as 9X or whatever area you may be in, Jersey Bell, Bell Atlantic, whatever they refer to themselves as. You notice that there's a certain way that when they lay cable, there's a reason why they lay cable a certain way. And anytime you lie cable down in the street or up above or what have you, you create what is called a grid. That's an artificial grid, okay? Now, you may not be aware of the purposes for why someone would want to create an artificial grid. And in addition to creating an artificial grid, there are certain things that if they wish you to be part of the control factor, meaning that you're at the other end of it, they have to do certain things to you in order to make it possible, whereas that you're under their control electromagnetically, psychologically, you know, the whole bit, sociologically, however they can get it, medically, all right? There are certain things that they have to do to you to start preparing you beforehand. But the things that they are doing out here now, excuse me, make sure my nose is okay. It's still there? Oh, okay, good. Yeah, yes, please.
Who's got I got it right here. Come over there. These are the soft ones. Well, you know.
Oh, that's good. I just need. Yeah. I mean, you know, I'd use sandpaper only if I have to. I say, kids, don't try this at home. Thank you. Better. So the types of things that have been going on that you actually see that's being done today, the experiments have already been done with them already. So this is not a, you know, a trial and error thing, shot in, you know, where you're shooting arrows into the dark, you know, and then say, well, let's see what happens to them. Let's lay it out this way, you know, lay out the fiber this way. And you're going to start to see, and I'm just building you up to this, you're going to start to see that very soon your phone lines are starting to change. See, one of the things I do by profession is telecommunication engineering. So that's what I do. All right, so, you know, I've been to the latest Lucifer school, that's what I call it, Lucent Technologies, and if you've seen the symbol, you'll understand why. They are appropriately referred to as Lucent, grown out of Bell, or AT&T. And with the types of switches that they now have out there now, that you can, if you've got $1 million, you want to buy this big super switch, you can, all right? And the control of your phone calls and a host of other things. I'm not going to get too deep into that because that's not what I'm here to talk about today. But the point is what this thing is capable of doing. Type of voicemail systems and, you know, not to mention the coming together of other financial institutions, because that's the kind of institution that I work at, is a financial institution. So that's all I see day in and day out is new circuits coming in. A company, a little financial consulting firm as far away as Puerto Rico, Southeast Asia, will purchase a circuit, and we'll get a duplicate type circuit on this side in my room, and I have to install it so that it can utilize the front-end processor. But every time you connect something, what are you doing? You're bringing something online, okay? That's another line that's gone active. And once that line goes active, in telecommunication world, we just simply say the carrier is up. We've got carrier detect on it. And going any place that you wish, if you have certain types of, is it working good? Can you hear me?
I hear noise. Go ahead.
With certain types of test equipment, if you were to test them out, you would actually see what I'm talking about. I mean, this stuff is right here in front of us every day. But your phones, your own individual phones in your homes are about to change. Because what happens is they need to be able to send certain types of messages to you that presently...
Speak of the phone, huh?
Yeah, right? I got to stop that. He's got it. Next, I'm going to wish for a truck with lots of gold and silver to show up. Let's see if it happens. If it does, that's it. Forget the lecture. I'm rich. I'm out of here. No, just kidding. Yeah, somebody said, So what I was saying was, your type of phone systems, like the present phones that you have in your house now, refer to as standard POTS lines. They're analog. There's problems with them. So what they're going to do is they're going to upgrade it to something referred to as ISDN, Integrated Digital Service Network. And what this phone line allows you to do is connect to things like web TV with one cable, a phone with video display, whatever else you need to connect to it, a computer with a specific internet protocol address we refer to as an IP address. All right, and it's a lot cleaner because it's all digital. Now, there's a lot of things that are in our neighborhoods right now that are working with respect to that they had to digitize so that it would not interfere with what they're doing with the electromagnetic field. Electromagnetic field is not digital. Okay, it's not a digital field. It's a very basic field. It's something that exists in nature itself. That's not digital. It is an energy. It's a force. And there are certain things that help to, make that come about. Now, if you have something like a standard POTS line, you have an engine on a car running, okay, all these things create what is called an energy field, electromagnetic field. Now, those of you who may not be familiar in physics, I would suggest that you get what they call quantum mechanics for dummies. That's the way that's what these books are called. I've got so many books home I'd even try. In the old days when I started lecturing, some of you remember the early lectures, we had practically 2 trunks of stuff out there for everything that, if you had any questions about anything, come right up here and take a look at the book. That's the way we did it. So you wasn't accusing me or anything. That's the way we did it. I still function that way. But I've gotten far too many books to lug out here. And I'm sorry, I'm just not going to do it. I'm sorry, crowd. It's just too many books. But they do have some remedies that you can go out, you can get a simple book, anything on quantum mechanics, anything dealing with optics, quantum mechanics and optics, okay, because what you're dealing with is time sequencing, synchronization of things. So with binary is very exact. So if something goes wrong and you're trying to communicate with me and something goes wrong on your side, we have what is called a time slippage. So they're already trying to get those of us who's in the tech field familiar with using these terms all the time. you know? And certain systems we're hooking up to let you know that the side of magic that goes with it is Merlin systems. Merlin. Name of the modems, Raycal, Excalibur. See, so you would think Excalibur is actually a technical term. It is not a technical term. It comes out of something else. Artemis. You see? That all comes out of something. Okay? And if you know anything about Artemis, just read the Testament of Solomon and he can tell you about Artemis and who and what she was. Okay? But these are the kinds of things that they're out here in front of you already. So anyway, they have to get everything off of this thing that would interfere with them creating their electromagnetic fields into this new technology. So you're looking and saying, hey, great, this is great. I've got a phone line now, which is ISDN, and you know, I notice that the problem, the frequency, the quality of the signal is perfect. Great, I like it like this. But what you don't know is what you're really being prepared for. Okay? And then you go out and you take these shots within, you know, the immunization stuff, what helps to lower down your body's own biostatic or electromagnetic field, which makes you more susceptible to electromagnetic control. See, because when you're talking about electromagnetism, what are you talking about? When you're talking about portals and grids, what are we really talking about here? You're talking about energy in a nutshell. Okay? And you're talking about a particular kind of energy. All right? And one of the things, see, there's on grid lines, there are some do's and some don'ts. You see, they sold us this line, this package, that to justify the Cold War effort with building up nuclear stockpiles to say, if they launch on us, we'll launch on them. And there'll be total annihilation. So we bought that. We didn't know any better. Okay? Now, had this been us 400 years ago and further back, we would have known. Because these are the kinds of general understandings that we had as a people. Okay? We had these kinds of understandings. One of the things that I recently have read had to deal with grid lines and nuclear detonations. And one of the things that it was pointed out is because of the way that a nuclear warhead, when it detonates, not how it's made up, but when it detonates, the kind of energy that it releases, why you just can't arbitrarily drop it on any point of reference you choose. In order for warheads to work properly, they have to be dropped on the grid line themselves. So that's one thing. So this whole thing, this whole idea about we got them now, okay, and now all of a sudden we've got peace, supposedly. So what are nations allegedly doing now? They are allegedly destroying them, right? How are they destroying them? By detonating them underground. Where are these underground facilities that they're detonating them at? They're on major grid points. And what are they affecting with these grid points? Who are they opening up another, so to speak, doorway for so that they can come in? Who are they doing this for? It's not for your benefit, and it may not be for their benefit. So everything is like they sit around with their fingers crossed. Okay, we hope that, you know, these characters who are about to let in are friendly. Cross your fingers, cross your toes. Go ahead, bang. All right? Also, what they've been able to do with the detonation of these warheads, because again, it's energy, it's radiation, it's what? Gamma, beta particles. They're able to transmit information with the detonation itself, the radiation itself, acting as a catalyst, a vehicle. It's like a telephone. All right? Now, on the other side of that, they're developing telecommunication equipment, which is referred to as real-time reckoning. You know what that is? Right now, if I wish to call someone in California, pick up the phone, okay, and as I hear the phone ring, it's ringing over there. All right? That's fine for basic surface type things. That's fine. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to get you to a point where they're working, again, with grid lines and points of reference here, as well as in space, and wherever else they show up with respect to the sun and any other planetary body that's in this system and beyond. When you're talking about modes of travel, there's different ways to travel. And I guess it can be said that when you're playing some of these videos, but not so much the videos, but some of the games you can take home and you're going into black holes and portals and things like that. What are you, cyberspace, but what are you really talking about here? What makes that so different as opposed to straight line travel? Get in a rocket, blast off, and go fly out towards Uranus. What's so different about that? Okay, but it's not only that though. The whole point is that all of the elements are still against you, in a sense. You haven't mastered anything. You haven't really mastered anything. So the folks who are the most far more advanced peoples than we are, and in some of these games like Masters of Orion, if you have that one, I have that one. They actually rate the different home worlds according to the class of technology, class of, science and development. So they would look at us and say, this world is probably rated, generally speaking, as people walk the street, on the level of a 1.5-year-old in terms of consciousness. That's how they would rate us. And someone, let's say, who used to live on Mars would be rated as that of a 63-year-old man. See, that's how they do this. So regardless of how old you are physically, it's not related to the actual consciousness of the planet itself. So you look at the consciousness of the planet because it is a living entity, and you look at the consciousness of the people who's on the planet. And from that, they should know really why you were here and what you're supposed to be doing. There's a lot of things that's tied into this. So to sit there and study portholes and time anomalies and time continuums as a separate subject, you're going to run into a lot of brick walls because there's a lot of things that go with that in terms of starting with you, the individual. They won't teach you this type of stuff if you're just majoring in physics, like what I was doing. They won't do that. They're not going to just sit down and say, well, listen, all of this stuff really has something to do with you, and if you start to feel that I'm giving you something bogus, your spirit's going to let you know that this equation is a phony. He's just wasting my time. So you may sit there and feel like something's wrong here. I can't put my hands on it yet. I'm not mathematically astute enough to catch the trick. All right? But this is what they're doing. So what they do is they send you to the prep room, the prep grounds. That's your local colleges, and they're telling you all this stuff, and Newtonian mechanics and all this, and they can't even explain what they call it vorticular circular motion. They can't even explain that because there's nothing in Newtonian mechanics that can even deal with it. Or at least they're not telling us about it. But we used to understand that, how planets are made and created and put together, and the Elohim and all of them, and who and what they really are. Okay? So, again, I told you I would be dealing a little bit with some of those scriptural books because I do deal with them in the languages that they were in. And it does correlate with many of the indigenous people around the rest of the world, including quote-unquote Native Americans. So I get a lot of learning and teaching from the Native American side. Mostly, I'm always in touch with the Choctaw elders, and there's other elders that I deal with, Seminole, my people, Cherokee, those who will talk to you. And they will not talk to you if you're just a knucklehead. They will not say anything to you because they scope everybody out. They scope you. So what? You're a Cherokee. So? If you're a knucklehead, they're not going to say anything to you. You just walk in, they can let you have whatever idea you want to have about who and what you think you are as a people and what your role in the earth is. But what I wanted to say also was, getting back to what they call this dead reckoning type of communication system is going to work off of grids. So that means that if you're somewhere on the far reaches of the universe, out near Uranus, and you pick up a phone, just using a simple description, and you dial the number to this store, as he hears it ring out there near Uranus, the phone should be ringing in here. So what do they call that in Star Trek? What are those things referred to as that help control that? Beacons. And what happens when a beacon breaks down? Remember they showed that once, and all of a sudden, all of the time, consciousness, all of the realities were in the same place until they fixed the beacon. All what they call alternate realities. What is that working on? See, the thing is, there's more to yourself, there's more to you than what you know. And starting with simple planets, okay, let you know that each planet is within its own grid itself, not just talking about the points that's on the planet. The planet is within is existing in multiple dimensions, or what they call hyperdimensions, dimensions simultaneously. And there are certain physical indications of that. You know?
That way.
Hmm?
Look out that way.
Oh, okay. So I'm looking over this way? Like here. I want a new camera over there. No, just kidding. So anyway, as I was saying that, you know, there's a lot of newer technologies that basically, in a nutshell, they're trying to harness the use of this. And as I was making my last point about the planet itself existing in multiple dimensions, they said that, you know, once they get past what's it called 26 dimensions, mathematically calculating the dimensions that they're dealing with on this earth itself, that it's unreadable. It's all numbers. You know? They know it means something, but, you know, it's like, I'm sorry, we're only limited to mathematically the computer technology that they're using to help do the calculations and all. It's mathematically, it's unreadable, you know? So they're working with what they can now. And we as, what does that mean for us as quote-unquote living beings? We also exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously as well. Okay, so you're not just this physical flesh and you know there's something inside of there. Okay, indications to let you know physically that you're alive and walking around, or that you are, at least as a body existing in more than one dimension, is the fact that you have a shadow. Things have shadows. So that's a reflection to let you know, looking back mathematically, that that is a physical indication that you are already in higher dimension than what you know of, physically. Okay, now you can get into things dealing with now, as we slowly build into it, some of the kinds of things you can do in and around certain chakra centers or portals. See, not all portals you want to go and tap into, because the first question you want to be able to identify with is, who has been using this? You must know that. Who has been using this? And were they friend or foe? You better know that. Okay? So the way that they have it now is, if we're not careful, they'll come back and say, let me give you your knowledge and stuff that your people knew. Oh, that's great. Thank you. That's great. But what they're not going to tell you is the other stuff. You're going to have to go to your people and talk to your people about it, those who know. Listen, what can you tell me about this area? To whose advantage was it to take people as they invaded them and colonized them and rearranged where they used to be and put them in a whole new area, an area that may be unfamiliar to them? To whose advantage is it to do all of these things? And then so that you couldn't find yourself using the method of dead reckoning, okay? This is where we get a little bit into calendars. So what they did was perform the lobotomy on you, okay? They took out the core of your knowledge from you, and they have it, but it has not made them any smarter. Because what they're doing now is putting rips and tears into things with respect to time continuums and things like that, because time is a separate vector all by itself, meaning it's a separate item that's just out there. Okay, and if you're familiar with the Old Testament, and Moses said to the Creator, he said, can I see you? I just want to see you. Who are you? And he said, well, I can't show you. I can't show you who I am. I can show you the past and everything that has happened in the past. And I can show you the present. But it's not to your advantage for me to show you the future. So Moses is like, so who are you? I am time. So who's this creator you're talking about? With respect to future, destiny, all of that is time. We were labeling it. We're giving these things different names. Destiny, goal. Is it not all time dependent? Absolutely. No matter what you call it, it's all time dependent. All right? And I'm not going to try to get up and give you all the heavy math and double integral of this. I'm not going to do that to you. Okay, I'm just trying to keep it simple as I possibly can. So one of the things that I learned was, when you encounter one of these portals, all right, you better know who has been using this. All right? Because you don't want to go and start tapping into energy where you're talking about one of the first things you start doing is, quote unquote, purifying it.
How you know who's been there? They've been there 500 years ago, 300 years ago.
Portals, whether it's 500 years ago or not, they are all actively used. So now you're going to have to become familiar with some of the entities, such as Yeti if you're in the mountains, Sasquatch if you're near the swamp or lowland areas, because what they are watchers, and they work through telepathy. So whenever some entities are about to show up, they show up. And here it is, they've been letting us know all the time. So you may have a feeling that, hold on a second, I feel this intense energy, I'm not exactly sure, but something is getting ready to go on over here. I don't mean necessarily dangerous, but something is getting ready to go on. Now, the way that John Two Birds had explained it to me, because I like the way John's method for introducing me to this. He didn't tell me nothing, okay? I get up there, 8,000 feet above sea level. He's living a little bit past the Apache reservation, and what's he do? He talks to me, gets people familiar. Oh, yeah, this is Mahir, and everybody's sitting there saying, you know, we dreamed about you. We knew you were coming. And I had a dream about it. I actually went over there, and I never even knew what the man physically looked like. All right, so all of this stuff is happening like this. Everything is all synchronized. Now, by the time I get there, one of his first assignments that he had me to do was get up the next morning, go out and count some trees. I'm like, count some trees? Are you serious? Okay. Over in that area, go count some trees. All right, so I came back. I counted some trees, had about 14 trees. All right? He didn't tell me why he had me count them. He waited till the next morning for that. But meanwhile, on that day, he had me doing other things. All right? So 2 of his wives, because he's got about 8 of them, 2 of his wives took me out, and they carrying bow and arrow, and the other one's carrying a rifle. Takes me out a little bit outside of the 30 acres of the land, and he says, you know, carry enough water, we're going on a hike, we're going to show you, we have something to show you today, you know. I said, okay. They didn't say what it was. As we're walking, she stops, and I see the way that the ground looks, the rocks formation in the whole bit, you know, so I'm looking, I'm saying, there's some energy here. I didn't say anything to them, but I could pick up, there's some energy here on this site, this area, right? So then she tells me to stop, I stop where I am, and she's searching around on the ground, so I'm curious now, what is she looking for? So that she finds tracks. And then she calls me. She says, come here. I want you to take a look at something, right? And then so now she's here, the other woman is over here. I looked down at it, and my alarms went off. You know, footprint about like this, had like 3 toes here and a point in the back. I was freaking. That's it. But it woke me up to such an extent that I actually felt the energy of my own self pushed completely out of the forest. And I said to her, there's one still here. Where? Over there. Without even looking. I could feel the presence of one was still there. Watching us.
What was it?
It was one of the entities that is referred to as a bad entity. Or some people refer to them as reptoids. Okay? And the heights and how they stand. I mean, look, the evidence was already there when they showed me the horses that they have there that has these claw marks on them where these animals come down and they devour animals, period. Okay? And being that it's in the mountain, if you run into one of these entities, the reptilian entities, you will see them as they are because there's no cloaking instrumentation up there as it is here in New York City. See, you have young children, African-American children, girls and boys, who are drawing pictures of them, walking. They see them walking by the park. They're seeing them, 6 arms, 10 eyes, and they're drawing them as they are, blue in color, okay? But you don't see it. Why? Maybe too many immunizations has got you, okay? Your whole grid system is remapped. Forget it. Remap. And when they remap you, you recalibrate it. That's the word. They've recalibrated you, and then it can drop another electromagnetic consciousness grid right on top of you. And they do it from the sky, from the satellites. Okay? And they have names for that. But that's a whole nother ball of wax. But I want to get to the very basic about feeling your way around things. So I see this one footprint, and it's huge. It's the largest footprint. We've read about it in books. Matrix has talked about it, but it's not the same thing until you actually go out there and see it yourself. And I never thought I would be affected that way. Never. Okay? So, after I calmed down and I made her aware that there's one out there, because when I looked at the footprint, all alarms went off saying bad, enemy, no good. Okay? And my alarms just went off. I just went crazy for a moment. And she said some people who they brought up there, they really thought they can handle it. Okay? So instead of lecturing to them like they used to and try to prepare them for it, they just, you know, they used to do that. And then take them out there. They said people still lost their minds. Some people actually, in their estimation, went crazy behind that. So I'm seeing this and I'm calming down. As a matter of fact, I was so alarmed that my wife was waiting for me to call back home in New York, because when I got alarmed, she said the babies was crying. And she thought something happened to me. While I was in, that's what I said, I felt my field pushed completely out of the mountains in New Mexico, and it was like, without thinking that I actually, my daughters picked up on it. Both of them. I had no idea that they picked up on it, but they picked up on it. I felt it. It was like a ring. It was like it was like I was in a casing, and now the casing was broken. I just shattered through the casing, and now I can adjust my field as I need. So I may have been in there a vacuum of some sort and didn't realize all these years that I was, and it took that to happen.
Do you have to be tuned, or is it...
Well, no, certain things, see, first of all, certain things with respect to picking up on things is supposed to be natural. But what has happened is there's some things that has happened to us that we are not yet aware of. We still haven't put the pieces together. So there's things that I'm finding out about myself that I may not even been aware of before. I may sit down and read a book and say, yeah, this is right. This should be natural. We all had the ability to do this. Now the question is, once you start shattering through all, let me tell you something. My thoughts were so concentrated that I could feel animals. I mean, as a result of my field being pushed out that far, and I did call the wife, and she said, oh, I'm glad, because the babies was crying. I said, what time did this happen? So New Mexico is about, I think it's an hour, or it's 2 hours. They're 2 hours behind. They're 2 hours behind. So she told me the time. I looked at my watch and I said, yeah, that's about the time that I was in the fort. She said, yeah. She said she could almost see what I picked up. My wife told me that. She could almost see, like in a flash vision, of what I picked up, but I can only feel it and I couldn't see it. And I said, it's out there and it's up in the tree over there. That's all I can tell you. I knew how far it was, where it was exactly, but I couldn't see it. And this is in daytime. I could not see it. And then I could feel the energy off of the area that she told me was a portal that they use. And she said to let you know how to, first of all, you need to be able to identify how you walked up on a portal. See, in the city it's a lot harder because of the concrete around, but they're here.
Yeah, okay.
And concrete is very conducive for that because it provides a hard surface for them. Okay? But out in the woods, they need stones. They need an area that you may look at it and say, well, I see soil here, but the density of the soil, which is helping it, is the shale or the rocks that's beneath it that gives it stability. Because if they teleport, they might just keep going. So they need to touch a surface, something that has a different density than they do. So the point of where you talk about teleporting to, the density has to be different than yours. It cannot be the same as yours. Else you'll do what? With the Philadelphia experiment. When they did that, they teleported those guys. That's what the electromagnetic thing was. It was an experiment in teleportation. That they changed their density and the density of the ship that they was on to where it was the same. Molecular structure. And then when those guys came back, those guys was naturally what? Fused into the metal and the rubber and the clothing and everything else was in the toothbrush, the toothpaste. Everything was the same. And you can't have everything the same. You cannot do that. But they